All right, Toronto. Yeah, it's going to be the place you'll want to live for the long weekend. Great forecast for Saturday and Sunday. Monday, not so much. But let's focus in on this evening, dipping down to 10 degrees with some cloud cover building in. Now, I want to take you into Barrie. That's where Kevin Yard was earlier today.
Studio.
Yes, always important road safety. That operation by the RCMP starts today. Now, let's take a look at this. Barrie in towards this evening, a little chillier than Toronto, 8 degrees, and again, some more cloud cover building in. Now, this is great news, and this is not a joke. Toronto will be warming up, feeling like 29 on Tuesday. We will be almost freezing into Sunday morning, and then just a few days down the road, going to be feeling like almost 30. This is rare to happen in mid-October. Look at this. Sunday morning, 1 degrees in Toronto, freezing in Newmarket, and then as we get a few hours later in towards Tuesday, look at that, 29 degrees for Toronto. This is not a joke. This is in our forecast. We'll talk more about that in the Long Ranger. That's coming up. Now, also in towards Sunday, let's talk about this as well. High pressure in place. That moves off to the east. This low out of the States moves up in towards southern Ontario. Looks like a rainy Sunday night in towards Monday, clearing Monday afternoon. All right, very important message there. Thanks so much, Kevin Yard, for delivering that. He was out in Barrie earlier this morning. Now, let's take a look at Barrie in towards the afternoon. Now, we don't have a system of rain or any low pressure in the area. The reason why we see this rain is the westerly winds traveling over the Georgian Bay, picking up that moisture, and this is lake effect rain. That's what Barrie could be seeing throughout the afternoon. Now, as we take a look at those high temperatures yesterday, not too high. No one was very warm, but we were just about seasonal. So, okay, Hamilton got up to 15, so pretty comfortable. High pressure in place, nice sunny skies, and the winds also impressive. Not as impressive as, let's say, Wednesday. Kingston saw wind gusts of 80, but still enough to really blow the trees around there. Taking the dog for a walk. My dog's only 10 pounds. A little tough for her. Yes. Now, as we take a look at some of the temperatures, yellows, we see those nice warm temperatures. Blues do creep in through the evening and overnight. Yes, getting closer to zero. Frost warnings possibly will be in place throughout the overnight and towards the morning. But then warming up into those yellows, dipping back into those blues. That's going to be the trend that we will see in terms of our temperatures throughout the weekend. Nothing overly warm until we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, we'll talk about that in a second. High pressure in place here. We do see this low stateside move north in towards southern Ontario. That will be rain. We're talking more Sunday in towards Monday morning, and then we do see some more rain coming in for Tuesday as well. But quickly, temperatures. You're not going to believe this. Tuesday, feeling like 29 in Toronto. Now, I'm glad you're here because we're taking a look at science behind the weather right now. Okay, usually this time in the show you get Chris and Andrea, but today it's Rachel and Dahlia, and we're going to be talking about some things that you got to keep an eye out for here on the Weather Network and Web Stories. So, in Canada, it's about pumpkin everything, pumpkin muffins, candles, soap, but Japan a little different.
Yeah, now we know what this is. This is a maple leaf, but it's not the kind you find in your yard. Well, in Japan, what they do is they deep fry maple leaves and eat them like a snack, as we would eat potato chips, actually.
Now, do they taste good?
Well, from what we've heard, people said they don't really taste like much, but it's a tempura batter, so it has a sweet kind of flavor to it.
All right, and you can buy them in like a chip bag,
just
basically.
in a little plastic bag, as you would at a hot dog stand here, but
awesome. So more on that, theweathernetwork.com. Another big story is the Atlantic hurricane season has been quiet.
Oh yeah, it has been as quiet as it's ever been so far since 1983. And as you know, we've only had 5 named storms so far, but there is some time. The end of the season is November 30th, but this has definitely been the slowest we've seen so far.
All right, so we've had 5, average is 10. So yes, quite slow. Now, I want to talk about, let me pick the right one here, the weekend weather pattern. It's cool for the weekend if you are in Ontario, parts of Quebec as well, but a huge warm up. Dahlia, take a look at this. Tuesday and Wednesday, a humidex of 29, and there's a story about that on the Weather Network.
Dr. Doug Gillum, he writes stories for us every week about Ontario's weather, and he has a great detailed article as to when the warm-up will happen and why it's happening.
All right, check that out. And I want to end with something exciting here. Tomorrow, I'll be going up with Niagara Helicopter Tours, a beautiful view of the fall. So keep it here on the Weather Network for more on that tomorrow. And lastly, Dahlia, Storm Hunters, a great series, but also Angry Planet. see. But now let's jump into our national hotspot. That was out in BC, 22.4, another day for BC to see warm temps.
Certainly the heat is being felt now in Alberta as we get into the low 20s. It's above average by about 8 degrees there. But the big look now toward Thanksgiving in our weather highlights. We have two different features, one being BC, which we'll talk about at length in a moment, but look at this storm that's moving up into the Great Lakes Basin. That is going to be a major weather maker as we head into next week.
Yes, and we'll get into that in just a second, but first, let's talk about our temperatures through drivers this morning. And now let's jump into the prairies, where a pretty good skyrocket of some temperatures. We were talking about 8 in Winnipeg, 15 for Monday, so some good news there, living across the prairies, as she said.
I bet. October, they know how to treat people right there. Oktoberfest underway Monday for Thanksgiving.
Yes, but we are watching out for this. Developing stateside now, that will move up in towards southern Ontario, and that's rain Sunday evening in towards Monday. So that could affect the Oktoberfest plans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly vigorous low pressure system that's going to be moving in, and there will be some heat building in. That's really one of the other big stories that we're going to be seeing as the temperatures rise. Atlantic Canada, on the other hand, for Thanksgiving, we've got a lot of sunshine, a good dose of sunshine across the east.
And also talking about a little bit more rain for the Atlantic Canada. We see this low developing up the Atlantic seaboard, and interesting, it does bring some rain throughout Nova Scotia, but it sort of just blows up into the Atlantic.
Yeah, and then in the North Atlantic, it's going to be really gaining strength. In fact, St. John's, you're going to feel the brunt of that northwest wind at about 60 kilometers per hour as it moves away. And then other than that, it's the heat that's building in across Ontario. Case in point, Niagara Falls, look at this.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a humidex of 31.
31 on Tuesday as well, but the rain does move in. Stay with us, more on your locals coming up. We'll talk temperatures throughout this afternoon. Nice warm up throughout the prairies. I know it was single-digit high.
Some of this is really the moisture from the typhoons that we've been hearing so much about in the news in Japan. This is all making its way toward the BC coast, so it's a very big, significant change in pattern. In some cases, well over 100 millimeters of rain on the way.
So unfortunately, that does leave BC quite unsettled for the long weekend. We're also seeing the potential of southern Ontario to be unsettled as well Sunday in towards Monday as this low continues to track further north. And again, some more wet weather possibly for the Atlantic too.
Yeah, it does a couple of things.
Beer for 7 a.m.
Oktoberfest sees no time limits at all. It's noon somewhere.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome video there. Now, for Oktoberfest, Monday looks like the rainiest day if you are heading out into Kitchener, Waterloo. That's when the rain does move in, but it should be clearing later on in towards the afternoon.
So let's take a look at Atlantic Canada and the east as a whole, because this low pressure system that comes in from the U.S. is a big weather maker, yes, but it also helps to bring up the temperatures, which is going to be one of the big stories heading into next week. So there's the low. It tracks up to the north of our region, in the region of the GTA, but heading up toward Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, and then it's going to be bringing up some temperatures that are very impressive.
And take a look at this. This is above seasonal for Scotia, getting most of the rain